Okay. Yes. T.B.Photo X1.5 TFX, and welcome back to another video. Well, here I am sitting reading an old, or rather I should say vintage commercial pamphlet here from the diving company Poseidon, which is a Swedish company from Gothenburg. A little bit of a shameless plug there, but anyway, yeah, I think we're just gonna do a little bit of an update video in my scuba training journey, or what we're gonna call it. Well, it is going quite well, at least to the way I see it. Well, really cool. I have done 2 more training dives. The first one was the last one we did with wetsuits on, or rather I used a semi-dry, the others used wetsuit since I had one from before. But yeah, I actually managed to fail one of the exercises that we were supposed to do, and that was that you basically remove your dive kit on the bottom. And the reason it didn't work for me was because I had 2 ply 7x7mm of neoprene on me, which means I had over my chest, my torso and abdomen, I had about a 14mm layer of neoprene. And for you guys who don't know, neoprene is a rubberized material that is sponges, like a sponge. It has air in it, so it is buoyant in itself. So when I actually removed my scuba vest, my BCD with the tank and everything, I became extremely buoyant. I wasn't able to keep myself at the bottom of the pool. I was just floating up. The instructor even laid his weight belt over top of my back, so I was even more weighted down, but that didn't help. I was going up to the surface anyway. But we just called off that exercise, and yeah, we went to the surface, everything was fine, we took care of it all, and the reason was basically I was too buoyant. I was just floating up whichever way I tried to stay submerged. But that was an interesting learning experience, how you are basically almost inverted in the water. But that was actually quite interesting, a very interesting experience. Well, after that we actually did one other exercise that I actually was so relaxed in that I almost think I fell asleep underwater. Well, it was basically that we're gonna do a buddy exercise where you and your dive partner is gonna swim a loop in the pool out around a sunken BCD. No, BCD. A sunken DSMB and back again. The only little thing is that one of you doesn't have your dive mask on, so you're basically bare. You don't have anything that covers your nose and nothing that covers your eyes, so you're just gonna swim relying on your body to find your way back around this loop that you're gonna swim in the pool. And that was a very interesting idea. I just took it off and then I just feel like, this is kind of nice actually. So that was kind of a interesting deal. And then last time, the second one, we actually went from going and diving in wetsuits and we went over to dry suits. And basically just a little bit of a quick information here then. A wetsuit is a suit that is mostly made of neoprene, and the deal is that you have a layer of water between the suit and your skin, and the water is basically heated up by your own body temperature, and it should basically stay fairly still inside the suit and keep you fairly warm. And the neoprene itself is an insulating material. Fine and dandy. Next you have dry suits. And dry suits is a little bit different because they are actually made to keep the diver dry throughout the entire dive. So you actually have a layer of air between, you have your skin, usually some kind of undergarment, and then you have a pocket of air, and then you have the shell of the suit, or the inside of the suit. And dry suits basically come in two different variations nowadays. Either you have a neoprene suit, or you have a shell suit, as it's called. The main difference between them is that the neoprene suit, as I already said, neoprene is an insulator, which means that will keep you warmer than a shell suit. So that's basically the main difference. And most people actually fill the dry suit with air from the tank. There are some newer things out on the market where you actually use another noble gas that is from a separate tank that you fill your dry suit with. But anyway, actually for me, when I started to do dry suit training, the biggest, not fear or anything, but the biggest concern I had was that when you're diving with a wetsuit, you're using the BCD as your primary buoyancy device. And you usually have a hose with two buttons on it. One is to inflate the BCD and one is to deflate the BCD. Fine. So you have very much control over how much you expel and how much you put back in with two buttons. Dry suit is a little bit different. You have a button on your chest usually that has the inflate button, but you have more of a passive outflow valve that is usually located on your left shoulder, on this part, or some have it on the arm. The way you use it is that you regulate it, that you twist it either close or you twist it open. And since the air in the suit is rushing to the highest point, if you do almost like a salute type deal, it will turn your shoulder to the highest point, which means that air can rush to this part and you can do a little bit of a pump with your arm and so on, and it will expel air through this outflow valve. And it's a little bit of a passive system, but it works. It has been proven time and time again to work. But the little bit of a difference is that you need to kind of set it so you can inflate as much air as you need in the suit without the valve opening by itself. So that was a little bit of a way to find where the sweet spot is on that dial, to dial it in so that you will stay in control. But once you get that sweet spot, it's smooth sailing, so to speak. Well, that's a little bit of that rant about diving and the difference between being in a wetsuit and a dry suit. But now a little bit about some of the essentials that I think that any modern diver or person who is doing a diver course should really invest in, at least in my opinion. First of all, one thing that can really save the day, at least it has done for me, is this stuff. I'm sure there are a number of different brands out on the market. This one is called Accessory Neo Black Witch, and it is a neoprene cement, or neoprene glue I should say, because before you know it, you will have tears and scrapes and so on your dry suit or your wetsuit. And if it is that you want to still use it and so on, you can actually do some light repairs, and there are some really good videos on YouTube about wetsuit repair and so on. So this stuff is a lifesaver if you want to keep your suit in a good condition. So really, really something I think you should invest in. It's fairly inexpensive and it can actually extend the life of your wetsuit quite a bit. With a little bit of handyman's work, you just need some ingenuity. And as stated, there are a number of videos on YouTube on how to use this product. There's another thing that I think that everybody should have. A little tub of silicone lube.
Kinky.
No, not like not
Oh,
not like that, pervert. No, silicone lube. This is a must-have for if you have anything like that uses O-rings, like a flashlight or anything like so. This is a must-have to keep the things sealed. It will condition rubber O-rings, and it will help to keep a watertight seal. So a little tub of silicone grease or silicone lube, really recommended. Well, another little kind of vanity thing that I am probably going to do a separate video about and a little bit of a review when I have some more experience with it. I mean, today most people dive with dive computers. They were considered before a backup to tables and so on, but now they have basically taken over. And I was looking at Tradera, a website I've plugged many times before, for a dive computer because I thought I'm not going to buy one new, I'm going to buy one used. And there were all types of brands to choose from. You know, you had Cressy, you had Sunto, and so on. But I actually put a bid in on a Sunto, made in Finland, neighboring country. Great stuff. They've been making, you know, navigational gear for, you know, orientation for years, for decades even. So I thought I would give them a try, but unfortunately someone was doing the sneaky douchebag and putting in a final bid at the final minute. So I started to look again, and then I found this one. A guy in Gothenburg that had used this for free diving was selling his, and this is called the Aqualung I450T. So it is a smaller wrist-mounted dive computer. It looks like just a normal digital watch, but it is much more than that. And what actually attracted to me with this one as well is that this has AI, and it's not artificial intelligence. It stands for air integration. So what I can do if I buy my own regulator in the future, which I'm thinking about, don't worry, I can actually get a Aqualung transmitter that I can put on the first stage of my of my regulator, and it will actually send the pressure information of how many bars of pressure I still have in the tube. It will actually send this to the computer, so the computer can actually calculate my current depth, how long I can safely be at that said depth, and how much air I still have in the tank, and how long that air supply will last me at the given depth. So it is a really great little piece of safety gear to have, and yeah, for what I paid for this compared to the new price, I think it was really worth it. So yeah, and it is a real jungle out there with the dive computers, I have to tell you. But I think that this one, great for my purposes for now. And finally, I thought I would just show you this thing here, and this here. I mean, if you are a seasoned diver by now, you will basically know probably what this is. I'm gonna put a link in the description below to a guy that I mean, there are a ton. Like, if you look at Lake Hickory Scuba, if you look at Divers Ready, or if you look at Simply Scuba and so on, especially Divers Ready, James over at Divers Ready, he even has a video that says that this is the one piece of dive equipment you should never dive without, because this can save your life, literally. And there has been cases when this has actually been, if divers who have been caught in undercurrents and been blown off the dive site and surfaced, and a rescue party has been assembled and so on, they're in all black, day turns to evening, evening turns to night and so on, they're in all black on a black ocean at night. This can be the difference between life and death. And what is this then? Well, it is a DSMB. a delayed surfer marker buoy. It's one of the, well, the premise of these ones is that you inflate them underwater, and you attach the reel, the line to this, and you send it to the surface. This one has a little bit of a weight, so it will basically float on the surface. If you do it right, it will actually stand up like this, and as you can see, it says divers below, and it has a reflective surface up here and so on. This one is a delayed surface. There is surface marker buoys, and there are delayed surface marker buoys. This one is a delayed surface marker buoy, which means that this can be inflated underwater, and it can be inflated in one of two ways. First, you have the oral inflation hose here, which you basically take a inhale, you press this down with your lips, and you blow into it, and you will start to inflate it. When you send it to the surface, if you have overinflated it, it will actually discharge the excess pressure through this diaphragm vent here. Or you can actually vent it yourself by pulling this string here. Also, in the bottom there is an opening, like one of those, you know, those ice bags that you can have in your freezer, that you pour here. What you actually do under the water, you take your safe second and you fill it from underneath, and the air will actually inflate it on the water. So yeah, there is a ton of videos on YouTube about how to use one of these, but they're basically really something that everybody should use. What are the purpose of it in normal circumstances? Well, it is that when you're doing a safety stop about 5 meters below, you can send this to the surface to warn boaters and other traffic on the surface that below this marker buoy there is a diver, or at least one diver. Also, it can be used depending on the situation. It can be used as an emergency marker. It can be used, since this is buoyant, it can be used on the surface as a buoyancy aid or a flotation aid and so on. They're not that expensive. I mean, I'm gonna link to at least to some videos about DSMBs, and yeah, after seeing them and listening to the arguments of why everybody should use one of these or have one of these with them on any given dive, it really made up my mind that it's a cheap life insurance, or at least it's a cheap tool to increase the safety margins of your dive quite substantially. So yeah. But I think that's enough of my ranting here. And now, well, if you manage to get this far in this video about me ranting or rambling, whatever, which way you choose, yeah, tell me in the comment section below if you have any experience yourself with any of these pieces of kit. So yeah, so we can just share some experience and some tips and tricks maybe for a newbie. So well, that's all for me for now, and as always, this is Tobias Bergström from T.B.Photo X1.5 to FX, and I'd like to see you guys in the next video. And as always, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. So take care from now on. Bye.